Well, hello there. Merry Christmas. And if you celebrate some other holiday and it overlaps with this date when you watch this, then happy holidays to you as well. That it is the 23rd. No, it's the 24th. It's Christmas Eve. Ha, 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 ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. So, happy Christmas Eve to all of you out there. And if you have questions for me, lay them on me. I'll do my best to answer them. Why is this name tag look like that? All right. Okay. What's up, David? I was thinking about you the other day. How you been, man? Oh man, last time I've known you now. What is it, at least 7 years? Yeah, it's been at least 7 years that I've known you. It looks like you're either married or summoning someone in your profile pic. You still doing comic book illustration? Is this set to slow mode? Oh, here you go. Well, hello there, Cody. Good to see you as well. Should I read into the fact that it's all lowercase, that you don't capitalize your name? Oh, let's see here. I made these so that I could just periodically flash these at people. And I don't have to like keep repeating myself. Let's see here. Yep, still illustrating, doing personal training too. And yeah, 2017. Yep. Lasting impressions. It is back in action. It is back in action. That there's Fenris, got the new Wrath of the Valkyrie here. I've got the old bottle here. This is the old bottle and the new bottle. So it's a different label. I've got a Fenris laying around here. I don't know if I got a Fenris laying around here. I only got a Thor right over here. Got the new Thor. It's just one container now, not two. People got too confused with the two containers. And then this is the new Fenris. New Fenris is way more pump product. I took all the stimulants out. And then Wrath is pretty similar. And then Battle Mead is going to be totally different. Battle Mead should be manufactured as we speak. It was supposed to start, production was supposed to start on the 20th. And I basically the old formula of Battle Mead, but I added a shit ton of EAAs and a ton of cyclic dextrin. Hey, Todd, Merry Christmas. Love you. Content helps me heaps. Just wanted to know my estradiol is at 264. Normal range is 160. Okay, so this is a European units. So it basically divide this by 4. So it's basically a 66 in US terms. Should I lower it? By the way, I feel absolutely fine with no negative sides. No, and I think you answered your own question. You just wanted reassurance. You should always treat the patient, not the lab work. If they're asymptomatic, you generally don't treat. That's not how it's done in America, but that's how it's done in civilized countries where it's not for-profit medicine. Love your content. Oh, so now you fucking crushed me. It was so important to me that you were in love with me, but I will accept that you love my content and not me, because I can indirectly apply that compliment to myself as I am that which spawns that content. And without me, that content would not exist. All right. So, let's see. Does anyone have anything? Any other questions? Well, while we wait for some questions, I'll tell you that I absolutely love the flavor of the new Fenris Fury. Oof, it is fucking delicious. Sometimes I even drink it. And the flavor is Frost Giant's blood. I don't think we have other flavors out right now. We might. I know that we were talking about 3 different flavors. I'm so not in the loop with that stuff, even though I'm the one who owns the company and I design the products. When it comes to the flavors and stuff, I've got a woman and a chef and another person, the chief operating guy, my co-owner, that everybody has input about flavors. And my only input is that if I can choke it down, I don't care. But I know that people want tasty shit. So, oh, wow, look at all this. Questions popped up in just a second. Moved to Ontario this year. I think it's close to me. You're shipping to Canada as well. We've always shipped to Canada. We've always shipped to every country. The thing is, you just have to email customer service. And Australia. Yeah, Australia has some weird ass blood work. But yeah, you basically just divide that by 4. At 150 a week test, should my total be around 660 to 700? Well, first of all, you shouldn't be doing your test every week. You should be doing it every day. So I think what you mean to say is at 22 milligrams a day, should it be at 660 or 700? Most of my patients using 20 milligrams every day, they're at somewhere between 1,000 and 1,600. So maybe your stuff's bunk, or maybe because you're injecting it once a week, it's not working that well. Or maybe you're using Prope or something else. But if you switch to daily injections and use a long-acting ester, then in 4 weeks' time, you should be getting well over 700. But even by the steroid plotter, do I still have that open? Here, let's open this bitch up. All right. Share screen with you. All right. All right, so let's go with this. Steroid cycle, 12 weeks. Start date. This is a little confusing. Is this the right plot? How do I get this? Oh, I'll use the wheel. Here we go. All right. Can you guys see this? Oh, no, you can't see it yet. Oh, you can see it. All right, cool. All right, hold on. Let's get rid of this. God damn it. Get off my fucking door. Get out of here. Let's go back. So we're going to go to 150. What the fuck am I doing? It's going to take forever. All right, 150. Test. Who the fuck is test? Huh. It's at the top where it doesn't belong because it's not alphabetical. Fucking dumb as that. All right. We're gonna let go of this. We're gonna let go of the rage. Anakin, let go of the rage. Schedule. This guy likes to do it weekly. Every 7 days. Notice they don't even have it by week. They have it by every 7 days because only a fool would do it once a week. All right, here we go. Delete this and plot. So after steady state concentration, the trough or trough, the nadir is 772, and the zenith is 975. So even if you did it wrong and did it every week, it's wrong. Now, if you were a smarty pants, like the people who watch this channel, you do your shots every day. And the average should be a 990, 975, 999. All right, this is in thousands. So what just happened? This is not right. 150 plot. That doesn't sound right. It shouldn't be. No, something's wrong. $150 a day. No. Okay. That was the mistake. It was 22. All right, let's plot that. So if you do 22 every day, it would be 880. And if you did 150 every 7 days, it is at the very top, it's 960, and then at the bottom, it's 700. So over the course of the week, your value swings by a huge percentage, like 20%. So this is the shit show that is weekly injections. All right, so I do daily and I do testing. Okay, good. So this is not his graph. So I'm going to change it back just so that I don't implicate him in foolish shenanigans, such as the sheer idiocy of using Prop in weekly injections, which is what so many people like to do who like to get high. They like to get high using steroids. It's like, why don't you just buy cocaine? Why would you use steroids to get high, dumbass? All right, so Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. What's up, Josh? All right, yeah, you're basically my neighbor now. Hope your Christmas. We're in Ontario because your provinces are big as fuck. So I'm in Detroit. So Ontario comes all the way down to Windsor, which is basically a sister city for us. And I know that you know that. I'm just saying it for the geographically impaired. This is Emmanuel Velasco. I'm an emergency physician resident in PH. I don't know. Is that Philadelphia or Phoenix? I'm a fan of how you do cycle, and Masteron is a priority along with high HGH and with testosterone levels. Thanks, man. You did. Yeah, thanks, Josh. I figured it out eventually. That just shows how often I don't. Yes, thank you, Cody. That shows how often I switch that fucker over to 7 days. 30 minutes out of Port Huron. Okay, so you're like north of London or something like that. Philippines. Oh. I guess the clue is the name was Spanish. All right. Can you please remind me of how you cured your insulin resistance post-show? Moving carbs and fat around. Greetings from the UK. Cheney cutting awake from Trent. So when I went to the Olympia, it came back. I had bread and other foods that were not on plan, but basically having berberine. I've had good results with Troponin Nutrition's berberine. My Battlemine also has glucose disposal agents, but the Troponin Nutrition brand Berberine is called Suppressor Max. It has other glucose disposal agents in there, like cinnamon, and it's got something in there that's going to extend the half-life of the berberine. And I've tried other brands of berberine and they did not work as well. Doing fasted cardio of moderately high heart rate, also doing 10-minute walks after every meal. Those are key for also I'll get a continuous glucose monitor that will allow you to track. I'm kind of looking around, seeing if I can find one of the boxes. Oh, there you go. Stello is the brand. The bright, it's so bright light. Stello. Get back up there, fucker. All right. So Stello continuous glucose monitor, so you can track it, and you can basically figure out, like if I have 75 grams of carbs, it spikes my blood sugar from 85 up to 140. But if I have 50 carbs, and it goes from 85 to like 97. So that's why and if I add in some fats, it can blunt the spike and make it just a bump. And if I do some cardio, it'll pull it down. And you basically just have feedback, just like everything else. There's no formula that works for everyone. You just have to learn how to collect data, analyze data, and then change the plan to reflect the data. Yeah. Digestive enzymes help. Right now, this is the brand I'm using. I'm not going to turn that shit down. Get out of here. Get out. Oh, it doesn't work. All right. That brand. It's called Digestive Physician's Choice Digestive Enzymes. I got it on Amazon, like I did everything else. And we're back. Come on, guys. Hit me with a question. Black Kaiser. The Black King, the Black Caesar. Merry Christmas, sir, and thank you for everything. Thank you, man. Oh, man. I wish I could add things to this channel. Like if we could watch, fight scenes and then comment on them. I asked just because all off-season fasting glucose was pre-diabetes, and now within 7 days of calorie restriction and low carb, it's gone down to optimal. Well, then, it just means that in the off season, you may have needed to add some insulin, or you could have taken down your carbs some and replaced it with some fat. I understand that I've said in the past that you don't need fat, and on paper you don't, but if you're going to get insulin resistant from having your carbs too high, that's when fat would be useful, is to reduce the amount of insulin and the insulin requirement and keep you under, according to the Stello thing, the right range is between 70 and 140. It was funny because I think that was on at the gym the other day. I was more thinking about Hans Gruber and John McClane because it's the holidays. Thoughts on Opeth? All right, so Michael Ackerfeld has the best voice in death metal prior to Alex the Terrible or Will Ramos, but for decades, Michael Ackerfeld was the best voice in death metal. I didn't like Opeth being all over the place, but what I did like was in the year 2000, there was a band called Bloodbath, which was Michael Ackerfeld from Opeth and Dan Swano from Infested. And it was like Infested with Michael Ackerfeld singing or growling. And brutality through simplicity was the slogan, because they were going to bring back old school death metal. This was in the year 2000, before some of you guys were born. But even then, in the year 2000, people were sick of all the overproduction, and They didn't do guitar solos and shit like that. It was just old school groove style, like Obituary with Michael Ackerfeld on vocals. And it was so good. And I think their first EP was called Bleeding Death or Breeding Death. And it was only 3 songs. And then their second release, their first LP, was Resurrection Through Carnage, I think. And that was the best album they ever did. They changed their sound after that. They were not as good. I think with Nightmare was the second album, and it wasn't as good. It got heavier, but it wasn't as catchy. Soul Collector is probably the best track off that album. It was like, so if you want to know what this band sounds like, check out Soul Collector by Bloodbath. And that's Michael Apkerfeld from Opeth doing straight death growls, none of that soft singing shit. And it's just fucking catchy as hell, and the guitar tone is amazing. That is some of the best guitar tone in any album ever. The only thing that comes close is Deicide Serpent of the Light. The Hoffman Brothers guitar tone on that album is fucking phenomenal. All right. Do you do consults for people in another country? Yes, I do. Hold on. Boom. Boom. See, I made these banners. I'm like, I'm getting with it. Grandpa Smurth's catching up with the times. Like, I talked to an AI today. We talked about Tarantino movies. She wouldn't tell me her opinion because she's not allowed to have opinions because she's just an AI. But she could tell me what Rotten Tomatoes thought. I don't know how I feel about that. I'd be more interested in what the AI's opinion is, but because I asked her. If I didn't want to know what her opinion is, I wouldn't have asked her. But I asked her. And she didn't tell me what her opinion is. She told me what the Rotten Tomatoes thought. If I want to know what Rotten Tomatoes thought, I would ask Rotten Tomatoes. Excited to try the new Battle Mead. The old one was one of the most delicious supplements I've ever used. New formula looks awesome. Ditto for Thor's Hammer. Yeah, I mean, the thing is every time you change manufacturing facilities, the flavor changes. In fact, if they were to go with, so trying to recreate, the reason why we did that apple cinnamon flavor for Battle Mead was because cinnamon was in it because it was a good glucose disposal agent. The problem is cinnamon isn't water soluble. So it was very gritty, and it kind of made me uncomfortable when I was trying to work out, having some gritty shit that I was trying to drink, no matter how much I diluted it. Other people had this problem too. That I think cinnamon's fat soluble, not water soluble. So you can't really. So since I wasn't going to put cinnamon in there, I didn't need the apple. So it really broadened the horizons as well. So I think the new flavors for Battle Mead is Arctic Conquest and Tropic Plunder. Those are the 2 flavors. And you know, if I tell you what it is, you'd be like, this doesn't taste like man. But if you just drink it and it's called Tropic Plunder and it tastes good and it makes you think of a tropical area, I did what I was supposed to do. The third flavor is Jotun's Blood, but that one will be released next time. No one was born before 2000. That's crazy. I had to think about it for a minute. I was like, this is sarcasm. Oh, wait, hold on. You had this right here. Need help? Oh, wait. Right here. Can you suggest any carb blockers for a cheat day? Is metformin enough to combine with white kidney bean? I don't think that's a very good choice. What a carb blocker would prevent you from absorbing the carbs from your intestines, so it's just going to give you diarrhea. You could just drink dish detergent, and that'll give you diarrhea. You know, and I'm not suggesting you do that. It was meant to be a rhetorical, like, this is a bad idea. It's like you probably don't remember this. You may not have been born yet, but there used to be this ingredient called Olestra, and it was a logo brand name Olean, and they put it in chips because it would prevent you from absorbing fat. And if you had one serving of chips, you would have been okay. They didn't count on the fat fucking pig Americans, that these pigs would eat the entire bag of chips and they would have explosive steatorrhea steatorrhea is diarrhea with fat. So it's fatty, oily diarrhea all over the place. And so people, and it was funny because it was like a way of determining who was a pig, because there are pigs who aren't fat. There could be a corporate secretary who eats the whole bag of chips, and that's her lunch, is like some whiskey sours and a bag of chips. And so it's like people running to the bathroom with oily diarrhea leaking down their legs. And as a child, I watched this story unfold, and I was like, okay, so using your asshole for bulimia is a bad choice. Therefore, the concept to me of taking a carb blocker is just as unethical as sticking your finger down your throat and making yourself puke, or taking diarrhea medicine. I mean, not medicine, constipation medicine. Or you could just lube yourself up with dish soap. And I know that I'm not saying you should do it. I have to say that multiple times. It's a joke, but it's cheaper. Think about, like, you could add like 2 or 3 drops of detergent to this and drink it, and you'll be shitting for days. So what I'm saying is, if you didn't catch on to this, is what if rather than taking a carb blocker, you could just eat whatever the fuck you wanted, and then for dessert, drink some dish soap and some water and give yourself some violent diarrhea. And then you save the money on the carb blockers. Other than Die Hard, what Christmas films you watch? Oh, God, I'd have to think about this shit. Batman Returns is probably one of my favorite Christmas movies. That one's a good one. Obviously, Nightmare Before Christmas, everybody's favorite Christmas movie is Nightmare Before Christmas. Also, Christmas Vacation, of course, with Chevy Chase, Clark Griswold. My current post-workout meal has just 33-gram ISOWAY. On the basis this is enough to stimulate MPS. Any value in higher if total for the day is... I don't think that's enough total for the day. That's what science has proven in natural people. The standard for bodybuilders is 3 grams per pound. No, 1.5 grams per pound. So I guess that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go higher in whey. In fact, you don't even need 33 grams of whey. You probably only need 20 grams of whey to get the leucine that you need. But I would probably also have real food. So as you leave the gym, have 20 grams of whey, and then immediately, like 30 minutes later, have real food. Or you could have some beef protein, like something that's slower digesting, like a plant blend or beef blend with that 20 grams of whey. Because the whey is going to it's going to spike. It's going to go through you so fast. I'm not a big fan of whey. What dosage of Anavar do you recommend for a female powerlifter peaking for a meet? That's an interesting question. Okay, so I don't think you're going to run the risk of virilization at any dose. So I think it's hard for me to recommend any steroids to girls because I don't agree that girls should use steroids. However, if someone was going to do a powerlifting meet as a girl, I could see them totally getting away with using 5, 10, 20 milligrams sublingually the day of the meet. Now, if you were going to do it for the whole week before the meet, I don't think you need to do that. But if you're one of those people who believes in this, I don't think that's necessary. I think the orals kick in so fast, you just need to take them the day of the meet. But if you were going to take it for a whole week, I wouldn't take more than 15 or 20 milligrams orally, not sublingually. I wouldn't go any higher than that. And of course, I wouldn't use it for more than 1 week at such high doses. I'm sure you watch my video and understand that I endorse, if somebody has to do it, the way to do it is 1 milligram sublingual pre-training, and that could be all year long. However, there's been good studies that showed 5 milligrams orally, not sublingually, have no virilization for 6 weeks. The reason why I don't like that is I don't know a single woman who's willing to stop using it. Once they start using it, they're never going to want to go off. So rather than get them addicted to this methodology of abuse and then detox and abuse then detox, which isn't even conducive to male bodybuilding, and go 5 milligrams for 6 weeks, then nothing for 6 weeks, then 5 milligrams for 6 weeks, then nothing for 6 weeks. Just let them use 1 milligram sublingually pre-training forever, and they should be fine. Now, the same study found that 22 milligrams, 2 milligrams, not 22, 2 milligrams orally, not sublingually, every day for 20 weeks was more virilizing than the 5 milligrams for 6 weeks. But no one's ever tested 1 milligram sublingually against any other leg of the model. And from my experience, you're not going to see any virilization from that 1 milligram sublingually. 45 years young, safe compounds to recomp, currently on TRT 140. I think about matching with Mastron 200 a week. Want to go NPP route, but one is just don't fuck with the NPP. Just if you're at 140 test, you can just add in 10 milligrams a day of Mastron and just keep titrating up. Same thing with the GH. And you probably can get as high as 6 to 8 units of GH without problems. Maybe not. Maybe your hands will hurt at 4. Then just back it down to 3. Whenever your hands start hurting, back it down to 1. But the mast, there's almost no upper limit on mast. John Jewett just released a video today that there is no real mast max because you will saturate its effectiveness, that it'll reach maximum efficacy long before you see any side effects from it. It's that easy on the system. It's that side effect free. Now, there's the rumors that there's hair loss, but judging from your picture, I can't see that good. I don't think you have hair, so there's nothing to worry about. It also can drive down HDL. They all can drive down HDL, but guarantee you it's Mastron's like a sniper rifle. It pinpoints anabolism and hits nothing else. NPP is a grenade that you might get anabolism, but you might kill all the hostages. So you definitely want to use Mastron and not an NPP if you care about your health at all. I'm not saying I would never use NPP. It's a very, very, very advanced tool. I just reintroduced it for the first time in years to see if it would help. And just like Tren, it killed my sleep instantly. Only I toughed it out. I was on 10 milligrams, moved it to the morning, and I'm still only sleeping 5 to 6 hours. I went from sleeping 10 to 12 hours to sleeping 5 to 6 hours. So I am not a fan of this NPP. I'm only at 20 milligrams a day, and it's I saw no benefit from adding it in, and I've seen nothing but problems with it. Aaron, what's the deal with the old school iPod? Long battery life, low light at night, wired headphones provide noise all night versus just us using a cell phone. I don't know what you're talking about. No idea. I haven't seen an iPod in like 15 years probably. Merry Christmas from Australia, Doc. What's up, buddy? Was going to say Batman Returns is one of the best Christmas movies of all time. Yep. Planes, trains, automobiles. Oh my God. That's such, I'm so traumatized from when he used his underwear as a face towel that I don't think I could ever watch that more than once. How much gear does the average man need to get an IFBB men's physique? You think we work together, we can myself a pro card? Yeah, I can help you. I don't know if I can get you to IFBB pro status. And an average man implying average genetics, I don't know. I would think that we would use less gear because we want to not grow any waste. Because when you take steroids, everything grows, not just what you train, it grows everything. So we want to stay away from that much gear. I think probably 1,000 or less would be optimal to keep your waist as small as possible. That now, to be fair, I've used as much as 4 grams, and my waist at my last show was the smallest it ever was, not on stage, but before the carb up. So when I was at my absolute lowest before the carb up, I got my waist down to 26 inches with a vacuum at 180 pounds, which is the heaviest I've ever weighed pre carb up, and it was the smallest my waist had ever been. So if anything, I disprove the myth that gear and GH increases the waist size. However, because it's your body and I'm going to be more risky with my body than your body, I would want to stay away from anything that could potentially cause waist growth, especially since we're not going to focus on leg training. It's going to be all lats, delts, arms, and pecs. It's going to be very specific training. And I think we could probably benefit from using very little gear. And we'd want to use really clean gear because we wouldn't want to get any pimples, wouldn't want to get any hair loss. That you don't ever see men's physique guys with bad skin, acne, shitty hairlines. That staying good looking is the most important thing in men's physique. Small waist, good looking. And we obviously will still train legs because they're graded on legs now, but gear is the least important thing in men's physique. Men's physique, you're a better looking person if you're on less drugs. The drugs make you uglier because if they make you sick. And usually there's a certain threshold where everyone reaches where they start getting sick. I remember once I was running 1,400 milligrams of Deca and 140 Tren and 25 Anavar, and I just was sick. I started having diarrhea for 2 weeks or some shit. And I brought down my Deca to 1,000 and up my Masteron to 20 to 50 a day. And I was so much better almost overnight. And the same thing happened before. Like whenever I used to take Tren when I was pre-contest, if I ever took the Tren over 100 a day, as soon as I had 110 a day, I felt like I had the flu. So there's a limit. But on the other hand, using mild stuff like Anavar, I could do 400 Anavar a day. Not Anavar, 400 Masteron a day. Felt fine. I felt a little bit icky. I think I felt a lot better when I dropped it down. But I'm totally comfortable running 200 Masteron a day and not feeling bad. But I don't know what your body's gonna be different. I'm not suggesting I would ever suggest to someone do that. I think most of the open pro men, like Nick Walker, they run about 2 grams in the off season. They use about 1,000 test and probably 800 primo or EQ, and then they run like 200 NPP. That's pretty standard for pros in the off season. So I know that one of my heroes, he ran 1,000 test and 2,000 Masteron, and he made phenomenal gains, the fastest gains I've ever seen. I've talked to Stefan Kinzel, and he's never runs more than 2 grams with his athletes ever under any circumstance. So that means he's working with just about everybody. So, I mean, for certain, if the open pros are running 2 grams or less, there's exceptions. I think one of them I know was running 6 grams, but he wasn't working with those guys. He was working with a very gear-heavy coach who later claimed to me that he was just that athlete and he couldn't get him not to use that much gear. But for an open guy, if it's 2 grams, then you'd think men's physique would be closer to 1 or even less. Batman Returns, best Batman film. Don't at me. I say clap back, but don't at me is even better. Do you really, Josh, I'm not criticizing you. Do you really think Batman Returns is better than The Dark Knight, given Heath Ledger's performance? I would think that Heath Ledger's performance is a game changer. Cody Brannon. Just like when the media said Trump said to drink bleach, they'll have on the news tomorrow, Dr. Ted Lee recommends drinking dish soap. Exactly. It's Tide Pods. Trump pods. Thanks, Todd. I will lower the whey and add chicken. All right, good shit. Drink your Fenris Pre in a McDonald's Batman Forever mug. Oh my God, dude. Those are so old. Some of you, I don't know if you remember this, but there was this movie called Gremlins. And they used to have Hardee's every month would release a record. This is before cassette tapes. They would release a record, a little 45, not a 25, a 35, but a 45, of like a chapter of the movie Gremlins. And there was a book that would come with it in the like the record sleeve. You guys call them vinyls now, but we just call them records. We didn't know what they were made out of. And it was like you could read the book as you listen to the record of what happened in the movie, even though we all had the movie. But it was like because you could get, and I never even liked Hardee's, but I ate at Hardee's and I didn't understand the interval that the fucking new record would come out. So I just kept eating there until I had all 6. So for like half a year, I ate Hardee's, and it was just so I could get the Gremlins records. It's because they told you to collect all 6. So I did what I was told. It's like, it didn't occur to me, you don't have to collect all 6. It's like, get all 6 boosters. Like, and that those people are still doing that. It's like, collect all 6. I was like, Raul Alvasia. Hello, what do you think about daily TNE at 25 milligrams I don't really see a point in testinal ester. If you want something to work that fast, just take sublingual Anavar. I know that you can inject TNE in a specific body part before you train it, and there's some logic to that, but we used to do that with trinacetate. So, and then testinal ester, it's usually a suspension, and it's going to be suspended in water, which means it's very prone to infection. And plus, it goes through you so fast. 25 is kind of like a dumb dose. I'm not calling you dumb, just 25 is a dumb dose. You'd be better off doing like 5 in every muscle you train that day. Like 5 in each of the heads of the tricep, 5s in each of the heads of the other tricep or something. Or like 5 in each of the heads of the delt, but 25 in one shot. That doesn't make any sense because the whole point is that it's supposed to be used up where you shoot it. Any benefits to a small case and shake at night when cutting? If you're cutting, what the fuck are you drinking a shake for? You should be eating food. If you're cutting and you're cutting right, you're hungry, and you should never drink calories when you're hungry. No, it can hurt because rather than having case and shake, you could have 4 or 5 ounces of chicken or 6 or 7 ounces of fish, which is much more filling, especially if you put on top of a salad. Like if it's a bed of lettuce with some peppers and some black olives and some Walden Farms dressing or some other brand of 0-calorie dressing, like Wishbone has 0-calorie Italian. You could make like a huge ass Olive Garden salad and it would have almost no calories. And then you throw a chicken breast on that. That's better than a case and shake. I always thought case and shake's a dumb marketing technique. Thanks, Todd. Been watching you since many, many years ago. I think the first video I saw was with the Anavar is a knight in shining armor one. Oh, yeah. That was 2017. I filmed that. Those videos helped me doing a lot of the stupid stuff. Glad you like that. Yeah. The fucked up thing is I had already been doing videos for 7 years by that point. It's like 100% Ann Nicholson is better at Jet. Oh man, he's actually funny. It's like, oh man, oh you're killing me. Okay. You can't knock a Tim Burton movie. Did you like Wednesday? I fucking love Wednesday. What's most liked and most hated fitness influencer, in your opinion? By me or by the world? Like, I'm going to say by the world. I think that Mike Israetel is the most liked fitness influencer. And based on my exposure, I would think that I am the most hated fitness influencer since I see all the hatred that's directed at me. Nothing misses. Like every single arrow hits. So because people bring it to my attention, they're like, hey, did you hear what so-and-so said about you? And then send me a link. It's like, please don't fucking do that. Why on earth would you bring it to my attention that someone hates me? Like that doesn't help me in any way. It's like, I'm going to block you just for bringing it to my attention. How do you like that? It's like, well, I'd want someone to know if someone's talking shit about me. It's like, because it means something to you. It's like, I assume people are talking shit about me. I assume everyone hates me. It's like, I don't need to be reminded of it. What's your thoughts on Vigorous Steve's low dose tren idea? I've tried it, but I didn't sleep on it. I tried it before he had the video. I tried that before him. I think he got the video. I don't want to say he got the idea from me, but I'm pretty sure I said, hey, I tried 5 milligrams a day and I couldn't sleep. And I think Paul said, I tried 5 milligrams a day and I couldn't sleep either. And then a few weeks later, he did the deep dive on Tren. And then following that, he did the 4 milligrams a day was the correct amount. I just couldn't sleep on 5 milligrams a day. Steve said that he got, even on the low dose, he got every single one of the side effects. It worked, but he got every one of the side effects. I consider not getting side effects the most important thing, because you could just use a clean drug and ratchet it the fuck up. It's like, here's a good analogy. You got 2 bowls. One's got cookies that are free, and the cookies not very filling, and it tastes pretty good. And then there's these amazing cookies that are fucking delicious, and they're very filling, but your wife has to suck someone's dick in front of you. I would just eat the free cookies until I was full. Everyone else out there, they want the tastiest cookie they can get, and they just let everyone fuck their wife's mouth. That's what that bowl over there, I'm going to call that the Tren Ment Nandrolone Primo bowl. And then this bowl, I'm going to call the Masteron bowl. It may not be that great, but you can eat as much as you want, and it costs you nothing. There's no side effects. You can take as much as you want, and eventually you'll eat enough to where it'll get the job done. Versus the other stuff, it's going to grow muscle, but you're going to have your hair fall out or get pimples, or you're going to get domestic violence charged because you beat up your wife, or you're going to lose your job because you threw a fit at work and you haven't had sleep and you have psychosis from sleep deprivation. It's just never worth it. All right. Is it true what people say about masks making you look older or affecting your skin? That doesn't even make sense. That their whole premise, first of all, everything you're hearing from these idiots is just them watching a video and repeating what they heard. The only smart person I ever heard say that was John Jewett. And what he said was he was using 1,000 tests and 2,000 masks, and he was growing great. And, you know, the rumor is you need more tests. Test is the best. And Primo's better than Masteron. So he switched to 1,400 tests, 840 Primo, and 700 Masteron. He said he didn't grow any better. So the idea that Test and Primo grow more than Mast is false. But he did notice his skin wasn't as dry. So his skin on his hands wasn't as peeling. Now, I think that's the hydration difference isn't due to less Mast. It's because of more Test. And more Test means more aldosterone. So he was more hydrated. That's why. And that's the only smart person I've ever had. I think other people heard him say that, and they took it without looking at it in context, and they just repeated it. The irony is, Steve says that he thinks Mast is like lotion, which would imply that it softens the skin, not dries it out. What are your thoughts about JAK inhibitors versus TNF alpha blockers? I don't have an opinion about them. It's Janus kinase inhibitors versus tumor necrosis factor alpha blockers. I was pretty sure the tumor necrosis alpha is involved in the anabolic process due to inflammation. And Janus kinases, you need an insulin receptor is a Janus kinase receptor. So if you blocked the Janus kinase, then you'd be insulin resistant. So I think that the people who market these things don't actually know what they're talking about. And so they fixate on this one little detail, like this is what this does. It's like it does like a fucking 1,000 things that we know of and 10,000 we don't. That monkeying with biochemistry is not a good idea. Dudes think they have free will until the McDonald's industrial complex takes over and forces them to collect all the Gremlins records. It was Hardee's, which is now called Carl's Jr. I heard you had a 500-gram stomach. I don't know what that means. 500-gram stomach. Does HCG need to be dosed daily as well? Yes. What dosage would you recommend for someone who wants to add it to their TRT protocol? I don't know what you're adding it for. Is it because your girl likes big loads on her face or a door knocker slapping her clit? Like, what's the point of the HCG? Because that's all it does is it makes your balls and loads bigger. So to answer your question, my experience is when I used HCG in 2018, I had a girlfriend who was super excited because she loved how big the loads were. And that was, I think I was using 250 micrograms a day. I've been running 30 milligrams of Tren per week, and it seems to help with body composition. No problem sleeping. That's good for you, man. That's awesome. KY GOP major. I don't know what that means. Grand Old Party? Kentucky Grand Old Party major? It's like Sammy G. Todd, could you make a new video going over the science of Clen and how to properly use it during a fat loss phase contest prep? I'm pretty sure I cover it in the How to Cut series when I talk about my cycle. But you want to do this. My good. Let's get rid of this banner. All right. So everything you need to know about Clen. Clen is a beta-2 agonist. It's an adrenal beta-2 agonist. That means it's selective for the beta-2 receptor. The beta-2 receptor is on the lungs, so it helps you breathe oxygen in and carbon dioxide out, and it also helps you liberate fat from the fat cells. It's also a beta-3 agonist. Clen has some anabolic potential. That's why you get tremors, is it causes minor fasciculation of the muscles. That wears off, but the fat burning effects from it does not. So I typically dose it in 20 milligrams, and then I wait until the shaking stops. Then I add 20 more milligrams, and I keep ramping that up. Now I've heard that the limit of effectiveness is around 200, around 80. I've ran as much as 200 and not had problems. Supposedly it has some effects like death and death and death, because I don't guess someone's selling something else. But for the last 15 years, I've heard of no side effects from Clen. All of a sudden, people are saying, I don't know what I'm talking about because there's all these studies that show that it causes death through arrhythmias and other types of heart problems. And it's like, who is taking this shit? People who already have heart problems and drinking Ghost energy drinks and Monsters, double fisting them? Is it the white can Monster crowd? Are they doing limes of Coke with Togi? Like what? Who the fuck are dropping dead from Clen? And it's definitely the Clen. It's not the cocaine and the energy drinks and the caffeine and the Starbies that they're and the everything else they're doing. It has to be the Clen. And of course it's because I brought up this point and no one could bring up a counterpoint. It's like, so Clen kills everybody, huh? So does that mean that all the little kids with asthma inhalers, they're also dying from arrhythmias? They're also dying from heart problems? Because in all the years of medical school, I failed to see the bodies of dead kids with their inhalers in their hands. It's never happened. So if the beta-2 agonists kill people from heart problems, why the fuck aren't kids with asthma dying? That's why I think studies shouldn't be available to the public, is because the public are too dumb. They have no common sense. And so they read the study and then they think they're smart and then they go around and tell everyone because they want to be validated. Like, tell me I'm smart, lavish me with compliments. I'm so smart I can read the abstract, but no common sense. None. It's like, where are all the dead children with their inhalers? Doesn't make any sense. And there's going to be like, well, there's this one study that shows that it's just clenbuterol, but the other albuterol inhalers don't cause it. It's like, and what was the method section? Were you dosing it appropriately? Was it the exposure? Like, wasn't it just the exposure and the dosage of the Clen relative? Was it like, was there any normalization? Was the only variable the name of the compound, not the quantity and the route of administration? Oh, it was a retrospective study, not a prospective study. Well, then it's completely shit. So no one's ever looking at these things. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. So I don't think the cleanse dangerous. I think cleanse fucking fine. I think you would just use 20 milligrams and ramp it up. At some point, supposedly there's an upper limit on what you can get away with. The industry standard is 80, although most of the pros go as high as 20. Some think that there's no point going above 40. There's no point going above 80. Someone's going to find out a reason for this. I find that I started losing sleep at about 180. I found that my sleep was fine up to about 140. So I think it just depends on you. If you start to lose sleep from it, then you're using too much. I think it's much more likely it's going to negatively affect your sleep than it's going to kill you. I don't think you're going to sleep like a baby and have no tremors and be calm and serene as a cucumber and then just drop dead of heart arrhythmia. I think it's more like if somebody's having a sympathetic overload from a shit ton of other stimulants they're on and they throw Clen on the mix, then if they're having some like ecstasy, cocaine fueled frenzy, and then they drop dead, obviously it's always the cleanse fault. Oh. Regarding the Anavar video, what would be an appropriate dose pre-workout? Watch the Anavar video because I talk about it in the video. I've also done like 11 or 12 Anavar videos, so I don't know which one you're talking about. But I would never, I'll tell you my personal experience. Maybe that'll help. I would do 25 pre-workout or 50. If I ever go up to 75, I'm too much of a dick. All right. Do you think that natural athletes, bodybuilders, can still benefit from fasted cardio for mitochondrial biogenesis? Wish you a peaceful Christmas. Thanks, man. Michelle Padovano. Do you think that natural athletes can still benefit from? No, not really. I mean, maybe for this bizarre circumstance of mitochondrial biogenesis, if that's real. I'm not saying that you're making it up, but it's more of the same where we've got some cutting edge sciencey stuff. And I just think that all the research has showed that there's no benefit from fasted cardio, except I believe, and almost anybody who knows their shit believes, the reason why bodybuilders do fasted cardio is because they're also taking a bunch of drugs that leverage fasted cardio. And because we get more out of cardio than the general population, it's just common sense. Like if you have carbs in your system and insulin in your system, you're going to burn through the carbs. But if your blood sugar is low and you do fasted cardio, not only does it prime you to be more insulin sensitive for your next meal, but you're going to use more fat for fuel. So GH plus cortisol in the absence of insulin is going to be burning fat and preserving muscle. That's pretty much how it runs, right? One of the Alex Keikel tricks, and I don't agree with this because I've tried it and exactly what you'd think would happen is his trick is to use 1, not 2, 1, maybe 0.5, 1 unit of Humalog pre-fasted cardio, and that will drive whatever remaining blood sugar you have into your muscles so that there's nothing in the bloodstream. Your insulin level drops even lower, and then you really, really get better benefits. I think that it sucks because when you go hypo that way, it's a brutal hypo. It's not a natural hypo. It is a savage hypo. It is fucking crazy hypo. You're seeing colors. You're flat out hallucinating. You're ice cold, sweating buckets, dripping all over the cardio equipment. People are looking at you because you, even if you're not being dramatic, like you're trying to be stoic about it, and you're just like your hood's up, you are barely pedaling on the fucking elliptical and you're just drenched in sweat. And then you're shaky and pale like a ghost walking out of there. You're like Emperor fucking Palpatine in shorts trying to stumble to your car and make it home to where your carbs are. And if you don't have a Tesla that can just drive you home, you're fucked. So I don't suggest, unless you're going to do your cardio at home. If you got home cardio equipment, maybe that's something you might want to do is have a carbohydrate drink, maybe some battle mead, ready And then you do 1 unit or a half a unit of Humalog before you do your fasted cardio on your home equipment. I'm not suggesting you do this, but this would be the safest way to do it. I think it's a bad idea because I'm required to say it's a bad idea because I'm on the internet and I will be held responsible if you die. And so you would use it. And if you start going hypo, you get off the cardio equipment, look at your continuous glucose monitor, the Stello brand that I mentioned earlier. No, they don't give me any money. Fucker should. And you say, oh my God, I'm below 70. And then you sip, don't chug, you sip on carbs until you hit about 71. Then carry your happy ass downstairs and have breakfast. But that's a very long answer to Michelle's question. So the short answer is, fuck if I know. All right. Oh, by the way, thanks. I don't know what you're thanking me for. Oh, here. This is what he's thinking for. Yep. So I use, calamity, 20 to 50 pre-workout. That's what I do. I don't do it very often, but if I did do it, that's what I would do. Yes, I mean the appropriate. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be talking about here. Yes, I said micro. Are you talking about HCG? It's 250 micrograms of HCG if you want to spew huge loads. All right. Is there a level of restarting heart rate when the cleanse shouldn't be increased anymore? A resting heart rate. I would think that if it's affecting your resting heart rate, you're on too much. Like I was able to have a 60 or 50 heart rate on 140 clen. Like it had no effect on me like that. Todd, Reddit steroids started the anti-clen train. They recommended albuterol or salbuterol and cardio. That's weird because I was the one who started the albuterol and the salbuterol thing, but I didn't say instead of clen. I was just saying if you suffered from sleep issues from clen, then using just the albuterol or salbuterol before fasted cardio was a way to leverage the cardio and not have it spill over to the rest of your day. But I never once said that made clen dangerous or that that's what I did. I just said I hit the inhaler, but I also use clen too. I don't need to use as much clen if I'm using the albuterol or salbuterol inhaler. Does clen need to be taken with a week off? Nope, that's all myth. That's based off of the tremors stop. So they assume that it stopped burning fat. That's not true. I did watch it, at least the latest one. Sorry for that. Yeah. Should natties train for failure more than RPE does if different for beginner intermittent demands? Okay, so natties are generally not as strong, which means that they're not going to suffer as much connective tissue damage and fatigue. So, 500-pound leg press is not the same thing as a 1,500-pound leg press. That your ankles don't know the difference. The ankles don't care how strong you are. Your ankles are still taking 1,500 pounds of force versus 5. So your CNS is still taking a huge beating. It doesn't matter how strong you are. The stronger you get, the more CNS you're getting beaten up. So I would think that the stronger you get, the more you'd want to train further from failure. And thus, natties generally aren't that strong so that they would. And I know there's going to be people so pissed, like, I deadlift 650 pounds for one rep. No one's getting tired from one fucking rep. Shut the fuck up. He means like a real man who does like a 1 or 2 hour workout with sets and reps, not just like one rep. And then you sit there for 10 minutes picking your butt, and then you go do another rep at sub-maximal loads. Fuck that. Should natties train? So natties generally aren't that strong, and so they could go all the way to failure. Beginners can go all the way to failure because they're not that strong. It seems to be like the intermediate beginners don't need to go to failure. They can benefit from 3 RAR, but they can go all the way to failure. It's not going to make a huge difference because they're not that strong. Intermediates is where you want to be in that 3 to 2, maybe even 1 RAR range. And then advanced, there's a theory that only taking sets of failure would matter. On the other hand, the counter theory is you're so strong that you couldn't handle taking things all the way to failure. So generally what I say is for isolation moves, like single joint things that you're doing 15 to 20 reps anyway, take those fuckers to failure. But for things like leg press, hack squats, squats, you definitely don't want to fail on those. I may, but you're not me. I'm a professional, kids. Don't do this at home. But in regards to like bench press, you obviously don't want to fail on the bench press because there's no one there to help you. And I know you're like, well, I got a spotter. It's like if some motherfucker's touching the bar, the whole goddamn set doesn't count. So do the fucking bench in the Smith machine like a proper bodybuilder so you can rack it when your set's over. Don't let some motherfucker touch your goddamn bar because the way they hand it off to you could rob you of a rep or two. And then if they're just touching it, I'm not helping, just touching it, I'm not helping, they could be pulling 5 or 10 pounds off, which could get you another rep or two. I fucking hate that shit. God, I hate that shit. Is Sonic the Hedgehog the only group of fans who didn't get screwed in the last 30 years? Sonic, they did a remake of Sonic. Oh, you mean because they didn't do they actually did do a live action and then no one liked it, so they reshot it with the CGI. Yeah, the remake of Aliens, Prometheus, or whatever it was called, Romulus, was fucking horrible. It was like the original Alien movie. It was just garbage. And then Terminator. I don't even remember when they reboot Terminator. Is that with the Hispanic girl? Star Wars. Yeah. They ruined Star Wars. The episode 7 was basically just a shitty reboot. Again, I don't know about the mitochondrial biogenesis. I should. It's my responsibility. I just don't. Are we like on an hour now? Should I order battle mead separately so that the rest of my mat order doesn't get held up, or just pre-order? Yeah. What you do is you pre-order battle mead and order the rest of your order, and I'm pretty sure the whole everything that's ready will ship, and then the battle mead will ship when it comes in. If I'm wrong, battle mead should be shipping by the end of the week anyway. Now, don't hold me to that because I don't know for certain, but I was told the production started on the 20th, but I haven't had a meeting with the guy since the 19th. And everything's in Florida and I'm in Michigan, so I'm not micromanaging that. I make almost no gains not going to failure doing RPE training. But going to failure tears up my body and I feel awful, yet get stronger, gain muscle. What do? I would just take it to failure and reduce your volume and increase your frequency. Do like one set to failure, like do maybe upper, lower, upper, lower, upper, lower off, and just do one set. So like obviously legs is what gets hard, right? So like what I was going to do this, for example, is like, let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday is upper, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is lower. So first you work backwards. You pick what's the most brutal shit. Most brutal shit is going to be hack squat. So we're going to put hack squat on Saturday. Okay. And we're going to pair a lying leg curl with hack squat. Then, so lying leg curl, then hack squat, and you'll have filler, whatever. So the leg day before that's Thursday. You're going to want to be fresh for that. So you'll put leg extensions and you'll put whatever hip hinge, whether it's an SLDL for hamstrings or an RDL for glutes. And then the one before that's Tuesday, you put something relatively easy like a leg press and seated leg curl. So you'll do, Mondays upper, Tuesdays seated leg curl, then you'll do leg press. Then Wednesday's upper, then Thursday's kind of like an active rest day for your quads. It's just leg extensions, but it's SLDL for hamstrings. So you're taxing your lower back and your hamstrings hard. And then, what do you call it? Saturday, 2 days later, you're going to do your big, massive fuck shit up day, which is your hack squat and the leg curls. Now, if your lower back's still fucked from the deadlifts when you do the hack squat, just switch it. Put the hack squat on Tuesday and put the leg press on Saturday. And I would do like maybe 12 to 15 reps on the hack squat, I would do 20 to 25 reps on the leg extension and 15 to 20 reps on the leg press. For the leg curls, for seated leg curl, I would probably go 12 to 15 reps. For SLDL or RDL, I would do 6 to 10 reps, not to failure. That's how everyone gets hurt doing deadlifts because they lift with rounded backs, because you'd be amazed how many people I've seen hurt themselves on. That's why I don't program them anymore for people, is people, for some reason, it's like a moth to a flame is a 60-year-old man doing 5-rep maxes. I don't know what it is about men that they have to use the stupid heavy weights when they deadlift and bench and get fucked up in every joint of their body doing it. But then they squat like pussies. And then on the leg press, and then the final day, the lying leg curl, you could probably go 10 to 12. So you're getting every single day, you're hitting hamstrings slightly differently with a different rep range. Same thing with your quads. You're getting each of the different ways of training your quads with different rep ranges. And you can squeeze in there like adductor, abductors, if you need abductor, and calves on those lower days. Upper day, if anything's too long, like for instance, me, I'm putting lats first on my upper day, and I move triceps over to my lower day, because my priority 1 is lats, priority 2 is triceps. So if you look at the top of the workout, it's lats, triceps, lats, triceps, lats, triceps, off. And then there's shit afterward. Doesn't matter. So it's lats, back, chest, delts. Then the next day is triceps, biceps, hamstrings, quads. And then it just repeats all week. That's one way of doing it. And that way you can do 2 sets to failure or 1 set to failure. And then you can just move on to the next body part. So you only do 1 exercise per body part. You're only doing like 2 sets. And with the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do 1 set to failure. And then the next set is going to be the myo match. So it's going to be, let's say I got 12. Let's say I'm supposed to get 12 reps, but I'm supposed to be 1 RAR, right? And I can do 12. So I'll do 11 because it's 1 RAR. And then the next set, I'm going to try to hit 11. But let's say I fall short. Let's say I get 8. So I'm going to wait 5 seconds and do more reps. And the idea is you keep doing rest pauses until you either run out of reps, like you get 4, then rest pause, 2, then rest pause, 1. If you're getting 1 after a rest pause and it's all you got, then you're done. You hit your target. So if you get 17 with set 1, you have to do an infinite number of rest pauses to hit 17 with set 2. Or if you get down to 1 rep for a rest pause, then you just have to call it quits. And that's one way of squeezing a ton of effective reps into just 2 sets. And you're like, but Todd, that goes against your model, blah, 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 blah. It's like, it doesn't. If you watch my most recent training videos, even on sets when I try not to go to failure, I still go to failure. I just don't know how to turn it off. If I'm like, I'll go for another one. I'm going to just pack it up. I'm not going to go for another one. That was slow as fuck. The difference in velocity, if this is fast and this is slow, and then this is some grindy, jerky shit, this is clearly the last full rep I can do. So I do as many full reps as I can do. If I was to go for another rep and fail, then what I really did is a partial rep. I didn't get 10 reps. I got 9 plus 1 rep, because that plus 1 is a partial rep. So I'm not suggesting you do lengthen partials unless, of course, it's the last set. But rather than doing lengthen partials, you could just do a rest pause and do myo reps, and you get more out of it. So lengthen partials are an option. They're not the best option, but they're an option. But that's what I'm saying. If you're going to train that hard with that much intensity, just shave down your sets. Train like Dorian. Don't use the reps in reserve model. Did I say natty? No, you were just adding details. No, because gear load doesn't help that much. What only helps with this is central nervous system fatigue, is time and emotional rest. Like watching a show you like, relaxing, um, cutting all the annoying people out of your life. Like, yeah. Just got in. Sup, brother? How's your Xmas starting out? Thanks for the live. You're welcome. Ricky Wiggly, Heather P. We have a girl in here. For Wone. Fo Wone. Is that like forlorn? No, Fo Wone. Thanks for the live. Stupid voice text. No, I understood what you meant, man. Another Kratos, another confirmation that mass does not lower estrogen. Sensitive estrogen came back at 156 grams per milliliter. He probably means nanograms on 500 test, 1680 massed. Yeah, for 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, normally it would be you have to do it without the mast, get the estrogen done, change nothing, not even the calories, then introduce mast, wait 4 weeks and get the blood work again, because then we're comparing. But I see your point. Like, you're using triple a 1-to-3 ratio of test to mass, and you have an astronomically high estrogen. So, yeah, Dr. Lipschitz, I feel increases my mind muscle connection and my strength a bit. Too bad we're missing the noun, bud, or the subject. Mastron. Okay, there you go. I mean, okay. It will bind to the androgen receptor. I mean, that makes sense. Another confirmation. Okay, we've got repeat performance out of Kratos. What bicep exercises do you think are good to pair with lying dumbbell bicep curls? So because the lying dumbbell bicep curl is such a stretch heavy movement, I would do something that isn't necessarily working the stretch portion first. So I like high preacher curls, the hammer strength high preacher. Also, that's kind of similar to the spider curl or a Scott curl or a standing dumbbell curl or an alternating dumbbell curl or a seated upright dumbbell curl or a facing the stack cable curl or a barbell curl. Basically anything that isn't a facing away cable curl or a traditional preacher curl. Now I do that, but the preacher curl I use as a machine doesn't go past about 135 to 160 degrees. So I never get the stretch. It kind of locks me into the partially lengthened and medium position on that preacher machine. That's why I pair it with the lying dumbbell curl. What peds you think grip strength athletes run? No idea. I am not interested in PEDs or in sports. I'm only interested in bodybuilding. So unless it has something to do with bodybuilding, I don't give a fuck, and I never will. All right. What are your plans for the next competitive season? Just curious. I don't know. That because they raised the limit on classic a lot, 7 pounds, I didn't think I'd ever get down below 185 again. And I got down to 177, which put me not only into my category of classic, but into the height category below me of classic. So I've got room to grow in classic, which makes me like I'm 130, 177. I'm obviously not 212 if my height cutoff is 182 in classic. So I should just do classic. And now that I got the hair transplant and I actually have hair, there's no reason not to do classic, especially because of how small my waist got at 180 pounds. Like, I was going to do a video about this today. It was doing classic physique cycles versus open bodybuilding cycles. And I was like, in order to explain this, I have to talk about what is the key fundamental difference. And the difference is a classic guy needs hair and a small waist. Both need symmetry, both need mass, both need conditioning, but you don't see bald classic guys and you don't see wide-waisted classic guys. Usually the guys who go into open is because they lose their hair or they blow out their waist, so they have no choice but to do open. I think most guys would rather look like Keon. or they'd rather look like Mike Sommerfeld. That there's a certain look that's ideal, and most of these guys don't have it. And so they end up going into open. But if most of the guys like who get super, super big, they don't like how they look anymore. They're just in an arms race at that point. But what there was a point which they blew out their lines. That means that they made their waist too big. That's when they regret it. So like people might watch my videos on Instagram where my waist looks big doing abs or whatever. I'm full off season. Like my waist is gonna be big from water retention, food, gas, whatever. But when I'm dieted down hard, like I'm 40 pounds over my stage weight right now, the 30 pounds at least. If I lost 30 pounds, like look at the Instagram, look at me doing abs. Now think if he lost 30 more pounds, that's how much. Then look at the Instagram top left corner. That's what my waist looks like when I'm dieted all the way down and do a vacuum. I can get the waist down. And I've got enough hair, maybe not as much as, Urs, who's half my age, but I've got enough hair. So I can do classic and I'm in the weight class. And people are like, oh, you don't have a classic physique. I'm like, because you're looking at me at 208 pounds. I don't have a classic physique. But when I'm 175 to 180 pounds, I do have a classic physique. So I think I can still compete in classic, even though I've never done it. So, but I mean, I'm still light enough to compete in classic. And I'm not heavy enough to compete in 212. So I'm going to have to compete in classic. For the last 15 years, I've competed in bodybuilding every single show. I've never competed in classic. So it's going to be odd for me to let go of half the poses. Luckily, of the 8 poses of bodybuilding, classic does 4 of them. Those are the 4 poses that look best on me. So I'm losing my weak poses. I'm not losing strong poses. I mean, most musculars are pretty strong pose, but between most muscular and ab and thigh is my best pose. Between side chest and side tricep, my side chest is a great pose. My side tricep's a shit pose. From a rear double bi or rear lat spread, my rear lat spread is a shit pose because I have no lats. My front double bi or front lat spread, my front double bi is way better because it makes my waist look way smaller because I can offset it. When I do my classic style front double, it's actually a good pose on me. Whereas my front lat spread, my lats look small, my waist looks wide. So I'm going to be switching to classic, and I don't know what show I'm going to do because it doesn't really matter. There's no bulking, especially now that Snitch pretty much disproved the need for bulking. I'm not saying she disproved an advantage to it. Maybe for enhanced athletes, there's an advantage. But if I only have 5 pounds to grow into my class, then there's no reason to break the bank with 4 grams of gear and 30 units of GH. I can run small cycles and just train and stay lean all the time and get basically, oscillate between 10% body fat and 3% body fat and just compete multiple times and have an easy life. That's good for my health. I don't need, because even though I tried to grow for 4 years into 212, it didn't happen. I was 175 in 2020. I was 175 in 2020. I was 176 in 21. Took 3 years to grow off using a shit ton of drugs, overeating, getting fat, doing everything I've never done before, thinking maybe that's what I didn't do. After 3 years of overfeeding, getting fat, and using enormous amount of drugs, I was 177. So if anything got in the way of my growth, if I could grow 1 pound a year, why did I only grow 3 pounds? So it's like, fuck that, I'm done. If I grow 1 pound a year, I grow 1 pound a year, and I'll just have to accept that. That means I'll be at the top of my weight class by the time I'm 50. By that point, who knows what the divisions will be. When you coach me, everything was to failure. I still train to failure and still love it. Generally, fortitude or mountain dog style layout. Cool to see how you progress your training theory. Well, when I make videos, I repeat what the current science is, and I experiment on myself to see. And I found that it's very frustrating to stop short when you know you're leaving gains on the table. I just think that, and then they say that volume is what makes you grow, But all the pros who are familiar with the science, what you see is they split the difference. They're doing 1 rep in reserve, maybe 2. They're not going all the way to 3. So 1 rep in reserve seems to be the sweet spot. And based on this definition, if you going to failure means you got a partial rep. So it's the same thing, that the way I had you train to failure would be currently how I define 1 rep in reserve, which is based off of there's a volitional failure and then mechanical failure, I think. And so volitional failure is when you think you don't have any more reps, whereas mechanical failure is when you fail to complete a rep. But by failing to complete a rep, that is a partial rep. So that doesn't count as a whole rep. So 1 rep in reserve on that model is 0 reps in reserve on the total rep model. That, in other words, 0 reps in reserve is actually negative 1 rep in reserve. And so I'm still training. I still think ideally is to stop 1 short of failure, because failure means you did not get the whole rep. Opinion on ZPHC spectrum. I don't know what that is. Your video on female lower body training, you mentioned doing dumbbell RDL. For a natty female, will this make my waist or core bigger? Not with dumbbells. You couldn't possibly use enough weight to make your waist bigger. Done 1 time a week for 6 to 8 reps, 4 sets for bikini. I don't know if 6 to 8 reps is the right rep range for dumbbell RDLs. I think if you're going to train that heavy, you should probably use a barbell, because the dumbbells are so unwieldy and so hard to manipulate. 6 to 8 reps, if you're going to failure, I think it's just too much, especially because you probably have the lung capacity to do 12 reps. So to me, dumbbell RDLs is not something you go that heavy with, 6 to 8 reps. Barbell RDLs or machine RDLs or belt squat RDLs or Smith machine RDLs, you could go 6 to 8 reps. But for dumbbell RDLs, I would be going 10 to 15 reps. And I don't know that if you would want to do 4 sets all at once, I'd rather see you do 2 sets and then 48 to 72 hours later, do them again for 2 more sets. Because, think about it. Are you getting as many reps on the 3rd set as you did the 1st set? Probably not. Like with me, when I do adductor, I'll get 22 reps for the 1st set, and then I'll get 12 reps for the 2nd set, and then I'll get like 8 reps for the 3rd set. So at that point, I'm like so far away. What's the fucking point? I'm better off doing 22 reps and then 12 reps and then coming back 48 hours later, doing another 22 reps and 12 reps, and then coming back 48 hours later and doing another 22 reps and another 12 reps. In other words, rather than doing 4 sets at once, splitting them up allows you to recover, and you'll get more out of each set if you split them up. Kratos, body weight has gone from weekly average of 231 to 234 over 8 weeks on 2.2 grams of anabolic androgenic steroids, 10 IU/GH, 36 units Lantus. Average daily calories is 5.3 thousand, which is really high. Should I increase it by 5% or leave it alone? She only gained 3 pounds in 8 weeks. Okay. So according to Snitch's research, natural people gain about a half a pound of muscle every 8 weeks. So that means that even though you're growing slow, if you grew any faster, you wouldn't be growing any more muscle. You'd be growing just fat. Now, you're not natural. So you gain 3.6 pounds over 8 weeks, which is approximately 0.4 and change pounds a week. That's fine. Yeah, half a pound a week is fine, dude. I would just leave it the fuck alone. I wouldn't increase shit. Yeah, I wouldn't increase anything. Because in theory, at this rate, that means in 12 more weeks, you'll gain 5 more pounds, right? And you'll already be up to 240. That means in 20 weeks, you went from 231 to 240. That's probably all muscle. And you're probably going to be just as healthy as you are now, because you're probably in the yellow or the greenish yellow. You're probably not even in the orange yet, which means you could run this shit forever. And probably eating more food would be hard. And especially if those are modern abs. So I'm jealous, man. You look like you're making perfect progress. I know you want to. The enemy of good is better. So everything's going so good, you want to make it even better, and that's how you fuck it up. Kratos, 2 grams. Wow, you must have been years in your bow. Thanks. I had a good success with 1 sense of failure and spreading out my upper, lower 4 times a week workouts to 6 times a week. But brain rot, social media made me feel once a failure was bad. But what's funny is I nailed it without knowing this, right? That I specifically told you an exact cycle that I thought you should do. You had already done it and it worked perfect. That's pretty cool. So if doing 2 sets is too much, the only thing less than 2 sets is 1 set. No type of, oh, okay. All right, I'm that far behind it. Any advice for curing bicep tendinopathy, stretching and still exercising around the pain? You got to change your exercises. Everything that's causing bicep tendinopathy, you got to take it out. If it's up here, it's probably from benching. If it's down here, it's probably because you're loading the stretch position in your bicep curls. So switch out the exercises that are causing the problem. Go up to 20 reps. You don't have to go to failure. Just train 20 reps. You can still train the non-affected arm with the same exercise. You can take that one to training more seriously, but you just do not aggravate the arm. Go like to a 2 out of 10 pain. And stretching is not going to help per se. It's not going to hurt, but it's not going to help. Yeah, usually without knowing which bicep tendon it is, whether it's the short head and long head origin, or if it's the aponeurosis, which is the combined tendon for the insertion, I can't identify what the exact problem is. What's up, Todd? Hope all is well. Merry Christmas, dude. Merry Christmas to you and to Jackie. For those who can't do RDL, SLDL, scoliosis, don't want to risk it, what else can one do instead? 45-degree angle glute extension, but fuse your hamstrings. So it's that little thing that people do for their lower back. Just don't hinge at the lower back. Hinge at the hips, but don't use your glutes. Use your hamstrings. Unless you're trying to do the RDLs, then use your glutes. That is actually a better loading profile. It's just a bitch to load it because you can grab a 150-pound dumbbell. That's going to pull the whole thing over. You can't really wait. You'd have to have someone stand on the foot pad behind you to hold you down. But what you could do is drag that thing over to the belt squat, and then you could basically make that fucker sing using the belt squat and the 45-degree angle. But I'm sure the gym wouldn't like it if you move that over the belt squat. Is the Sandman the best comic? I don't know, man. I just watched the show. My T4 is super low, but my T3 is high. I'm natty. How could this be? Can TRT raise it? Always below 90s. Huh. I don't know, man. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of someone having a high T3 but a super low T4, because especially if you're natty, that doesn't make sense to me. C. Missile. What can I do to strengthen the weak rotator cuffs? I don't know that you have weak rotator cuffs. That's something that physical therapists say, but they're kind of retarded. That you may have hurt your rotator cuffs doing flat benching with a barbell. That's not because your rotator cuffs are weak. It's because the flat barbell is a dumbass exercise. But external rotation exercises using a cable or a band, and then internal rotation exercises should help. Also, keeping them at your side and pulling out that way. And it's got to be really light. See how my elbow's coming away from my body? That's wrong. It's got to be with your elbow tucked into your body. Really small ranges of motion. So their solution is right. But in my opinion, if you're like benching 300 pounds, you don't have weak respiratory cuffs. It's that the problem is that you're benching. How detrimental on gains is it to lower my working sets for quads and hamstrings to 16 sets per week? I feel any more I do not recover. Well, you just answered your own question. If 16's over your MRV, you have to lower them. Period. That the whole metric of whether it's the right amount of sets is, are you making progress? If the answer is no, if you're not making progress and you're sore, you're doing too much. If you're not making progress and you're not sore, you're not doing enough. Merry Christmas to you, buddy. What's the healthy body fat percentage for females? This is, how should I put this? A man would not be attracted to a woman if her body fat percentage was too low. So when a woman detects that men aren't hitting on them anymore, when the guys stop flirting, when they stop hitting on them, then they've lost too much body fat. I've found that women will say, like, I can't believe how much attention I'm getting from men. Everywhere I go, guys are hitting on me. And then after a while, they're like, it just stopped. Like, guys stopped talking to me, stopped looking at me. And then when they start coming back and gaining fat back, they're like, guys are all over me again. I don't know what's going on. That's when you know that your body fat percentage. Now, for numbers, because you can't measure it, it's pointless. Right? What you can measure is how many dudes are trying to stick your dick in you. That's measurable. And that's how you know that your body fat percentage is where it's supposed to be. I know it's crude. I'm a doctor. I'm supposed to give you better advice, but I'm also a man. Like, I exist in the real world. I'm not some doctor that they grew in some lab in Pakistan and came over here and speaks the Queen's English, but doesn't know a fucking thing about how to speak American English. I know what the real world says, and the real world says is if you're hot, you still have body fat. If you go from hot to not hot, it's because your body fat's too low. It's the shoulder, the head that closes to the middle, not the outside one. All right, well, you think it's the head, but it's the tendon. They both wrap in. It's going to be the... it's definitely going to be from benching. So cut that shit out. Switch to dumbbells or machines that don't get aggravated. What could be the cause of my acid reflux heartburn? I'm not getting it while I sleep. Not taking Tren or orals. IgG1. I don't know what that means. There's a million things that could cause acid reflux, man. I mean, goddamn. You should just get a consult so we can discuss it. That's too open-ended. And it also has nothing to do with bodybuilding. It was initially triggered by Hammersmith incline. Yeah, because those fucking things start way too far back. But now it's triggered by back when the arm is extended and shoulder compressed. Yeah. The point is if you're going to use the hammer strength incline, you watch my video on Instagram how to do it right. You basically lift the handle and move the pin so that you create extra holes. You'll see guys are putting blocks under that. It's just a shit machine designed by assholes. That's a terrible machine, the hammer strength incline. IGF-1 and estrogen are high on the test and high mast. Okay, still, you need a consult, man. That's way too complicated for this. Last question. Best approach to go from fat fuck to shredded. Watch my series, How to Cut. That is the best thing you can do. Or hire me and I will get you there. I was 12% at 205, ballooned up to 248 at 28, coming down quick, but I know I'll bleed tattoo and start struggling at 220. Yeah, you probably just need help or watch my video if I'm too pricey for you. Any plans for Christmas? I think I was going to watch Die Hard, and I was going to try to go to the gym, although that's not looking... Yeah, I'm going to have to go to the gym, the other gym. And I was going to watch Die Hard. I'm also working my way through Vampire Diaries, and I was debating whether I'm going to toggle between originals and Vampire Diaries alternating once I hit the season 5. I know, why am I waited so long to watch it? I don't fucking know, man. And my next show, I don't know. I'm not worried about it right now. It'll be sometime in 2025. Oh, it's over. It's stuck. I'm telling the truth. All the sisters at work were saying that about their fat. Well, it's different for different cultures. Well, I already told my friends who are really into Vampire the Masquerade that I've seen Nosferatu with them. I have to run to pee, or I'm going to pee myself, and we're out of questions anyway. So I'm going to bid you guys adieu. May the force be with you, and Merry Christmas.